In this video, I'm going to talk about qualifying deals. Why does it matter? Why is it important? The reason why we qualify deals is because if we don't qualify deals, we're going to spend a lot of time talking and trying to sell to clients who are not qualified for the product or service that we're selling. We're going to spend a lot of time and energy and resources trying to get people who are not buyers to purchase the solution, and that's going to result in a lot less results. Think about it this way. Spend a lot of time trying to convert people who will never buy. That results in spending less time on people who could buy. The problem with that, and we've measured it, is that your closing ratio might decrease from 10% to sub 10%. We had a client actually close 7.8% because of that. We had another client close at 6%, and we have another client close at 5%. You might be thinking the salespeople are not good, but it's not true. Actually, the founder who was selling was at 5%. For another one, it was a head of sales who spent 5, 6, 7 years in the company who was selling. And in the case of a 6%, it was the same company that closed 15% a quarter before, and the entire sales team dropped below 10%. So the issue is not the salespeople in these examples. It's not how they're dealing with the selling. The problem is that they spend a lot of time talking to people who are not the right ones. What happened is back in the days, I was doing the selling. After I joined this company, I started to implement qualification frameworks, two of them, which I'm going to talk about in a minute. And results went from 5% to 25, 30%. I was right in between these two percentages. When I moved to another job where I was not allowed to qualify deals, I was asked to push volume. My closing ratio dropped to 10, 12% for upsells and new logos mixed. For new logos, it was even lower because I was asked to pursue any and all opportunities, spending a lot of resources chasing clients who would never buy the software that year. It's really important to understand if it increases results, what's the impact around revenue. But if you go from 5 to 25%, you just 5 times the revenue, right? And if you 5 times the revenue, the company goes into much higher growth. You need less leads, you need less efforts, you need less resources to generate the leads, you need less pipeline because you know you're going to close 1 in 4 of the deals. How do you make sure that these are the right people to talk to? Well, I like the BANT framework, which is getting a lot of heat on LinkedIn from people who are not practicing it because they don't know what they're talking about. They think you just show up in front of someone after 20 minutes. You ask them, do you have a budget and how much money do you have to spend on this solution? It's just the wrong way to look at it. It's ridiculous. Nobody should be doing that in a B2B sales environment, selling solutions or services for more than 10 grand a year. You should be asking better questions such as, is this a project with a project owner, a timeline, and a budget assigned to it? Or are you still at the stage where you're just looking at what's possible out there? You give them this double choice where they can pick for themselves at what stage of their buying journey they are, and you can speak to that stage of a buying journey, right? This is important because it allows you to tailor your speech to how they are feeling at that moment and what the next step is in their journey. What you want to know is if you're talking to someone who has either the authority or is one of the people with the authority to potentially purchase a solution like yours. You want to make sure they can purchase in the next 6 to 12 months and not in 5 years from now. You want to make sure that they have a need, a problem that is urgent and important enough to be solved, and that your solution is positioned to solve it. And you want as well the authority. You want the person to have the influence internally to make the purchase happen. If all of these criteria are ticked, then this is the right person to work out a deal with and to put the business case together with. If they don't match these criteria, then you shouldn't be continuing to talk to them. I'm going to give you a few examples. For the authority, imagine you're talking to the head of sales of a company, and that head of sales is looking for a software because he's got problems around role plays internally. What you're going to do is you have a solution that helps automate it with AI. So you're going to reach out, you validate the pain and make the business case. Then you ask him, is that a project yet? He says, no, but it's probably going to be a project for 20. We should keep talking and I will go to the CEO to see if that's something that interests her. That's a good conversation. An opportunity, that's a lead that could turn into a sale. So you should put some level of work into it to qualify whether this is going to move to the next stage or not. If not, then that's fine and you can stop your effort immediately. A mistake I see a lot of companies do as well is to push it down the road. A lot of qualification should happen at prospecting level. There are a few problems assigned to that. The first one is a lot of companies don't know how to do it in a way that's smooth and it doesn't disrupt booking meetings. The second thing is that a lot of companies choose not to do it, but they're really pushing the problem down the buying journey, right? Because if you don't qualify when you're prospecting, somebody has to do it at discovery. If you're not doing it as discovery, somebody has to do it during the demo, after the demo. And the deeper you go, the more time and resources you spend to try to acquire a client that will never close. Whereas if you ask the question up front, you can really focus on the 5-10% that are in the market today to purchase your solution, and you can disqualify the ones that are not. So you really need to align the organization throughout the entire funnel and not just at negotiation stage when it's already too late. Then you spend tens of hours crafting requests for proposals or long offers to just be told no after 6 months of chasing because they were never in the market to buy a solution in the first place, right? That's the worst case scenario. So what you want to look at is when you're prospecting, make sure the leads generated align with generating revenue. Make sure your team spends another 10 seconds after getting the meeting to ask, have you looked into solutions like ours before? Are you, aside from you, who else should be on that meeting to look at that solution and would be involved in a potential purchase? If it becomes a project, would that be something you'd be considering for 2025 or later? You can ask these questions after they've validated they're interested, they have a problem they want to solve, your solution could solve it, and they're okay with the meeting. You can spend a few more seconds saying, great, thank you for confirming the meeting before we have the meeting, just to make sure it's productive for you, it's productive for us, so we can prepare it. I have 3 questions to ask you real quick, and if you can't ask them, book the meeting, warn the sales rep, have the sales rep do them at the start of the meeting, but you want to make sure you've got these criteria that is standardized, they are objective and not subjective, so you weed out a lot of the bad leads that shouldn't enter your pipeline in the first place. And if you do that process, if you do these steps, you're going to see your closing ratio shoot up, you're going to see the size of the deal shoot up, and you're going to see your time to sell shrink. And that's going to help your company grow at a much faster pace. So that's it. That's all I had on qualifying deals today.